In the past years, India's pollution levels have worsened to an extent that research by IQ Air Visuals records that 21 out of 30 most polluted cities in the world are from India. The situation had begun to deteriorate by the 1990s. This was despite two legislations on pollution control in the 1980s. During this period, institutions such as the Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Boards had also come into existence. In 2014, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, along with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, created the National Air Quality Index. It was a tool that would create transparency and accessibility in the availability of air quality data. However, these first generation measures could only go so far, and the sources of pollution continued to grow significantly. In 2016, Delhi faced one of its most severe smog episodes. This attracted international attention and a collective response from both the media and the public. The government was put under pressure to tackle air pollution with seriousness. The policies such as the Graded Response Action Plan in Delhi and the National Clean Air Program seem to be quick fix measures and have failed to achieve its targets due to an overall lack of air quality monitoring systems and legally binding targets and inadequate financial allocation. Evidently, India requires greater focus and commitment. Perhaps these policies can be modeled on successful international experiences and examples. How did Beijing combat air pollution? Beijing and the whole of China went through three distinct phases of anti-air pollution measures. The first phase started around the Olympics of 2008. Thereafter, a pause until 2013 when the second phase came into effect, and then the third phase was towards the end of the last decade, highlighting the fact that clean planet needs to be any government's top priority. First phase. In 2008 Beijing Olympics, concerns were raised over the impact of air pollution on athlete performance, and a wave of restrictions on polluting activities were implemented. Before the games, 3 lakh high polluting vehicles were phased out, major construction activities were halted, and hundreds of factories and power plants were shut down. Air quality during the games improved by about 30%. Even this short-term improvement led to significant health benefits, seeing a drop in the number of deaths due to cardio and respiratory diseases. Second phase. Beijing's airpocalypse was an extreme episode in January 2013. It sparked a mass outpouring of anger and frustration amongst citizens. China set out to clean up the air quality of its cities. The Chinese government declared its war on pollution with the launch of a national action plan. Old polluting cars were scrapped, and frequency of inspections for those on roads was increased. Standard of emission from diesel trucks was improved. Large cities restricted the number of cars on the road and started introducing all-electric bus fleets. Lorries were made to use the beltways to bypass the heavily populated areas. Bike sharing schemes were reintroduced. Cities' subway system was made longer and more convenient. The government prohibited new coal-fired power plants and shut down a number of old plants. The country reduced its iron and steel making capacity, and government started providing subsidies to farmers to discourage stubble burning. Off the roads, the plan focused on providing people with cleaner fuels to burn at home. Amount of green spaces within the city was increased. The government also introduced aggressive afforestation and reforestation programs like the Great Green Wall. With investments of over $100 billion in tree plantation programs, China's forestry expenditure per hectare became 3 times higher than the global average. A lot of motivation measures were instituted. Those wishing to buy an electric car were able to obtain a plate more easily, encouraging citizens to switch to cleaner modes of transport. These measures made a lasting impact. By the end of 2017, the annual average PM 2.5, sulfur dioxide and nitrous dioxide levels fell. Third phase. China still had a considerable problem with its air quality. The average concentration of fine particulate matter, PM 2.5, across China was nearly 6 times from WHO standards. Ozone pollution in the summer were also a growing concern. To tackle these and other lingering issues, the city gave another air pollution push outlined in its 2020 action plan. At the same time, the national government announced its own plan to bring the fight for clean skies to 82 cities across China. Monitoring. Targeting future regulations effectively required robust data about the sources of air pollution, backed up by strong enforcement to ensure new regulations are adhered to. Prior to the 2020 action plan, city enforcement officers would undertake random spot checks. This was inefficient, with only 6 to 7% of defaulters being detected. Today, the team has built a new data platform that fills in the gaps between government fixed monitoring stations using mobile instruments fitted to 50 taxis in the city. Crunching all this data together, pollution hotspots are pushed to enforcement officers through a simple app. The results have been striking. Within 3 months, 70% defaulters were detected, 10 times more than the previous randomized approach. When the reliable information on pollution was released, people appeared to respond by taking greater measures to protect themselves. Specifically, online searches for masks increased by as much as 300% after the monitors were installed. Searches for air filters also increased by around 20%. Ozone pollution. Although ozone in the upper atmosphere protects the earth by blocking solar radiation, it is extremely toxic in the troposphere, where the volatile organic compounds VOCs in ozone react with nitrogen oxides released from vehicles. The new action plan focuses more on ozone pollution as it adds targets for both VOCs and nitrogen oxides, emissions reductions of 10% and 15% respectively. Finance. Fight against pollution came at a substantial cost. Beijing's budget to fight air pollution jumped from just over $434 million in 2013 to more than $2.6 billion in 2017. Government resorted to green financing. In the definition by the People's Bank of China, green finance refers to a series of policy and institutional arrangements to attract private capital investments into green industries. Just like traditional instruments, green finance can take various forms. For example, there are green bonds, green loans, and green insurance. China has quickly expanded to become the world's second largest green bond market after the US. It's a quiet, frosty morning in Beijing's financial district when one of the city buses pulls up to pick up awaiting passengers. A light hum, instead of the proverbial engine roar, breaks the early morning quiet as commuters file in on the blue logo bus, one of the 6,584 electric buses forming part of Beijing's public bus network. Beijing is one of many Chinese cities that has embraced electric. In just 8 years, Shenzhen has become the first city in the world to electrify all of its 16,359 public buses. Understanding Beijing's air pollution story is crucial for any nation, district, or municipality that wishes to follow a similar path, said Joyce Musia, acting executive director of UN Environment, adding, "The city's experiences offers lessons that can apply in almost any context." Air pollution is a major cause of death and disease, and it is the biggest environmental health threat across the world. India's dire situation with respect to this crisis has had a multi-dimensional impact on its public health sector and economy. If China can do it, so can we. Thank you.